Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We've got some good weather coming. I'm not so sure about the air quality, however. We'll just have to keep our eye on that. So, in case you're wondering why I rang the bell, as all of you know, we're celebrating 8 People's 15th service anniversary. Very exciting. Round of applause. And a lot of companies don't do these anymore, or if they do, they're a lot more subdued. They don't do it the Tweddle way. So I just was so excited to kind of see the tradition here and the bricks that we see before us all today. And you don't see it because the average person entering the workforce now switches jobs 7 to 10 times. And with the advent of work from home now, it's so easy to switch jobs. 1 to 3 years. So that's what's happening. I've met so many people that have worked here for so long. I really took the time to calculate what the average was. What's the average service time for the Tweddle employee? And can anybody guess what the average is kind of for the U.S. team?
6 years.
6 years? 10? 12? Some good guesses. I'll go down to the decimal point, but the average is 9.6. Yeah, that's a big number, and to kind of put it in perspective, on a national average, for men, the average service time is 4.3, and for women, it's 3.8. And then, in addition, only 6% of all working Americans have been at the same company for more than 15 years. So that's pretty incredible. Quite a statistic for us, the longevity we've had. And these numbers really say a lot about the culture that's been established at Tweddle. The fact that all of you come back here year after year with Tweddle as your preferred employer speaks volumes. Before I hand it to our first presenter, I'd like to thank all of you for the hard work and dedication. Every day is an adventure around here, as you know, with all the new opportunities we're chasing and other things. And your continued contributions are really essential to our success. So with that, I'll hand it over to Amy.
Gary, would you like to come join me? Yeah. So I'm here to speak about the wonderful Gary Ragland, who has earned his brick today, actually in January. Yes. So, yeah. So that's pretty amazing. Gary started in Nissan authoring, working on the center stack, one of the really challenging aspects of all the Nissan vehicles, and he quickly became the resident expert on that topic. And when I came on and we started the video team, we had a bit of a conundrum. We won Nissan. We already had Stellantis, and Stellantis was sort of conversational in their video approach, and we thought we knew exactly what we were going to do with Nissan Video, and we soon realized that these were two very, very different clients. And we tried going through multiple different types of writers. We tried primarily creative writers with some technical knowledge, but mostly creative, because that's what we'd been doing on Stellantis. For anybody who works on Nissan, I know all of you know that was not a great plan. So we went through 2-3 people before we finally discovered Gary hiding over in Nissan authoring, and he was the perfect fit because he came aboard with an unbelievable wealth of knowledge, incredible attention to detail. He understood the client really well, and he understood creativity and creative writing and how to make things more conversational and digestible. So you really were a gem. We got really fortunate to have you come on board, Gary. And it's hard to believe that it's been, in our team, well over 10 years. Yeah, well over 10 years. So not only is Gary incredibly adept at writing and managing his team, who I know are all very fond of him, he's just an easy person to get along with. Anybody who has to sit and collaborate with Gary knows that not only is he going to have their back, but he's really going to bring something extra to the party. He's helped with marketing materials. He's worked on so many different clients at this point. He's buried in BRP and Stellantis and Nissan, and he and his team are really holding their own despite all of these different challenges and having to constantly put on different hats depending on which client we're talking about. So you're a beloved member of the team, Gary, and I don't know how we would do it without you. So for anybody who knows Gary, and maybe Gary's tired of me bringing this up, but Gary is, and we've tried to break the habit, but he's kind of a Mountain Dew drinker.
I am.
Right, Gary?
Yeah.
So,
It was 15 years ago, and I am.
Yeah, so I would really like to raise a toast
All right.
to Gary.
Open it up.
Yes, you can open it now. Full disclosure, you're getting two because I'm not opening mine. Gary?
You want the Mountain Dew out.
Sorry, it's all for social.
Yep.
Cheers, Gary.
Cheers.
Here is to many, many more years as a Tweddler, and thank you for everything you do.
Next slide.
All right, and next up is Mr. Eric Taylor.
Hello, everyone. First, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I was just talking to Mark a moment ago, and looking back and seeing how many people here to show up for this celebration is fantastic. It means a lot more to the folks who are being honored for the 15 years, for the crowd that we're bringing in these times. So I appreciate that. I'm here actually to honor the 15 years for Gwen Doyle. We brought her in about 15 and a half years ago now because we had a need at the time for someone to look at importing for us, right? That was the key niche that we had. It was primarily for portfolios. Most of you know that we import a lot of portfolios for the major OEMs that we service. And at that point in time, we were primarily buying those from what are called domestic importers, right? So someone who is based in the United States but has contacts overseas. Once we got out of what was effectively a directed buy at that time, it opened me up to start sourcing on my own directly from overseas. In this case, it was the Far East. And what I was looking for at the time was actually a couple of things. One was someone who could actually help us with the import and sometimes export, but also had some familiarity with the area, in addition to being able to speak the language, right? Being fluent in both Chinese, in this case, as well as English. Gwen came on board, fit the bill, has been doing a fantastic job ever since. We haven't been using domestic importers, really since that point in time, for the most part. So that brings us some additional advantages, which she's, of course, helped us secure. There's been a few rough times. A couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, there were some real issues, as most of you might recall, with the supply chain around the world. That included us. So we were having real issues with bringing in some of our product from the Far East. And Gwen was fantastic at coming up with some alternatives. So what we did in that case was bring in our products from different ports, most of them up along the West Coast. We just kept managing from port to port, including some out of Canada. And we ended up never stocking out on it. That was something I was really worried about for a while because the whole world at that time was having trouble with supply chain. If some of you recall, at that point in time, there were actually 40-some ships, up to 100 and some ships parked out of Long Beach, out on the West Coast. So that threw some fear into us at that point in time, but we never stocked out. So she was fantastic at getting us through that, in addition to another number of other things over the years. So I want to bring up a couple of more personal things related to Gwen, just because her story is rather interesting, given her history and background. So she was born in a city called Shenyang, which is roughly 450, 500 miles outside of Beijing. That year was 1892, somewhere around there. So from there, as she grew, she ended up going to school in Beijing. She then worked in Beijing for 9 years. Then she wanted to continue her studies outside of China to pursue an MBA. She wanted to ultimately go to Ottawa, right, to pursue an MBA. And she kept at it, because she tried and failed 7 times to get awarded a visa to leave China. And she just kept fighting, was very persistent. And then on that 8th time, she was granted the visa to go ahead and leave China to continue her studies out in Ottawa. So after her MBA there, she then went to Vancouver and spent a year there. From there, she actually is when she moved into the States. From there, she went to Arkansas. She spent about 2 years in Arkansas, and then ultimately moved to Michigan in 2005. She had a relatively brief stint with General Motors from 2005 until she ultimately came to us, which we're very thankful for. So anyway, I just want to bring that up because it's kind of an interesting history. So, and thank Gwen for her 15 years of service. Thank you. Appreciate it. Do you want to say anything else?
Thanks for Eric for all the good words about me. Just want everybody know I'm not a public speaker, but it is my 15 years with Tweddle. I did spend quite some time writing something about, just to express my feeling about 15 years with Tweddle. So sorry if I'm reading instead of speaking. So it's amazing, long but short 15 years. The day that I started at Tweddle, April 21st of 2008, was just like yesterday. So much has happened in the past 15 years. The company's ownership changed from Tweddle's Tweddle to Gore's Tweddle, and now CJK Tweddle. And we also experienced the business up and down, down and up. So 2008 was a great year for Tweddle. That's why so many people showing up today for the 15 years, right? So Eric is a great boss. He always stand up for us, for issues, and give us directions and guidance. I know he has tolerated a lot of my impatience with his impatient personality as well. Mark is always very helpful for anything I come up with, personal, business, anything. So I'm very lucky to have worked with such a wonderful and fun boss and team for 15 years. Tweddle's culture is unbeatable. Coworkers here are very, very friendly, welcoming, and caring. Everyone has very high sense of urgency for work. So I have learned so much from coworkers for a lot of unknown beyond work, from sports, movies, characters, holidays, for this great country. As Eric said, my life before Tweddle has a lot of movement. Different places of China, Canada, and US, from Shenyang, Beijing, Ottawa, Vancouver, Fayetteville, Roscoe, and now a resident of Rochester, Michigan for 18 years. 15 years with Tweddle allow me to settle down both physically and mentally so that I enjoy my life in a more stable way. Once again, it's a wonderful 15 years. It's a milestone for my life and for my career. I feel proud to be part of the great and the resilient Tweddle. Thank you.
So, Chris, congrats on 15 years. Some of you here know Chris. Some of you may not know him, and so let me enlighten you. The first time I met Chris, no surprise, it was my first day of work here. Going on the great Tweddle group tour, I was met with a sea of gray desks, blue 6-foot-high cubicle walls, and 2 big aisles that went from one end of the building to the other end of second floor. Phase 3, second floor, at the end of the aisle, turn the corner, and there is Chris Conkle's desk, all set up. Wind's blowing my stuff around. Chris's desk was kind of an array of a lot of quirky pop culture items. We had the Duff can, Simpsons Duff can, a lot of Nirvana paraphernalia, but what was really stuck out to me was how it was like neatly arranged. Equal space between each item, very neatly arranged, very thorough, very clean, very organized. At the time, he was a production artist, and I believe production artists really do need to be that organized and tedious and thorough. It's a job that requires expert level knowledge on how the production of everything the design department did back in the day. Short story, basically, if you needed to know how it was done or why it was done, you just went to Chris. You just skip right over and go right to Chris. Print wasn't your only specialty. Some of you may have remembered the early days of Tweddle's digital movement and a VIP app. He was the master of icons, apps, and user interface design really before it became a common term we threw around. I think you're Tweddle's pioneer in that type. After some years, your goalpost moved. You wanted to design and create. So moving into an art director role was the next clear step. Chris reached out and made this path for himself. He took every opportunity available to create a new career. He shadowed where he could, tapped into educational opportunities, chimed in on design critiques, and learned to take critiques of his own work, which is a milestone, I believe, in any art director's, book. We take our work very seriously, and we want others to enjoy it as much as we do. It's definitely a learning curve, and it's one that you have succeeded at time and time again. There really isn't a project that floats through design over these 15 years that Chris hasn't influenced. Maybe he wasn't the number one lead on it. Maybe he was in a supporting role. Maybe we were so busy he was all on his own creating comps. But honestly, everything that we have in our portfolio today has been heavily influenced by Chris. When you work with people for as long as all of us have, I know, most of you out here know what I mean, as we're all kind of Tweddle lifers in some way or another. You celebrate your team's wins. You want to be a part of their success. You fully back their goals. And I'm very proud to see this foundational brick in your honor. And I know that I might sneak up in the middle of the night and glitter bomb it. So hope you pick your color glitter. So congrats, Chris. I know he loves attention, so just cheer really, really loud for him because he loves it.
Hi, good afternoon. As Eric said, it's kind of nice to see all these people here. I've got one of the many Tweddle superstars, lady Kathy Ulowitz. That's 15 years this year, and she's one of the many superstars that keep the back of this building running. And where manufacturing is kind of the unsung heroes, as you've all heard me say over the years when I do come up here and ad-lib all this stuff. But she's a very special one in terms of knows every job in the plant, 110% cross-trained. She just comes in, does her job, she gets it. She's also been up on the mezz when we used to have pick and packs. She had some brief stays up in the front office when we needed help with administrative work and as planning and other things were happening through the years. And then she landed back, fortunately for me, and she's back on my team. And one of the pleasurable people that I get to manage, and I just can't say enough about her. She trains people for me. Her strongest suit is if I don't say good morning to her or find her, you never even know she's at work because she just comes to work and she does her job, and she's always been self-managed. And I just can't compliment her enough, but I'm not going to stand there because I did embarrass her out in the plant a lot when we gave her little crystal thing. But I just want to say my sincere thank you. It's been an honor to be your manager and keep working with you.
I'm not much for speeches, so I'm just going to say that Ken made my job easy. He was a great manager, and I'm going to be sorry when he retires, but we'll move on from there, I guess. So thank you.
Calvin, congratulations on your 15 years, and I'm going to start with a small story. So when I started at Tweddle, I was an ERP analyst and, mainly supported all the processes in the distribution area. And one of my main responsibilities was sending advanced ship notifications, making sure, was sent by shipping, but making sure that they were transmitted successfully because they control our customer ratings, delivery ratings, etc. And the instruction given to the distribution people was, if there's ever an issue with those, call Sangeeta. And, they would call me, and a lot of times, this used to be in the evening, and I would be out and about doing things with my kids. So I would have to tell them, I'll try to get to a Starbucks somewhere, take care of it. And, they would say, thank you, done. Then 15 years ago, Calvin was working evening shifts. And he started calling me whenever there were ASN issues. And it would go the same way. Okay, Calvin, I'll take care of it. But, to my pleasant surprise, one fine day, Calvin turned around and said, Sangeeta, can I help you? Can we take care of this issue? And to me, that is what defines Calvin. How can I help you? So many of you will vouch for that. I was so pleasantly surprised because typically IT issues, nobody volunteers to take them. So, and and he was living those Tweddle values even before we had defined them. Customer focus, knowing how important these ASNs are to make sure that our delivery ratings are not affected, teamwork wasn't IT's issue. He was ready, it was a Tweddle issue. He was ready to step in and help. Passion for growth. He wanted to learn something new and try help us. So I wasn't the only one impressed with him. So were his supervisors, so were his co-workers. And sure enough, Calvin then moved to day shift, from there customer logistics, then from there 4 p.m., right? And even in all those departments, impressing everybody with all the CIs he would come up with, trying to improve their processes. And of course, I supported the ERP side of things, but I never liked getting calls from Calvin, because if I got a call from Calvin, it was a genuine issue, not a user mistake, But I would always think, with his skills, with his troubleshooting skills and his passion for learning, I would so like to have him in our department. And my wish did come true, because in 2016, we had an opening and Calvin applied, and we wasted no time in interviewing him and getting him over, And Calvin, it's just been an amazing journey, I think. Your technical acumen is just outstanding. And, as usual, like your work ethic, it's unparalleled. I mean, there's no technical challenge that Calvin is not ready to take up. And he'll get in there, whatever ticket, doesn't matter if it's a system he doesn't support, he'll always triage, find a solution, find a way to take care of it. And how much ever I praise you, Calvin, I won't do justification to what an integral and important part of our department you are. Anybody over here who works with you will vouch for it. Everyone respects you so much. They love working with you. And I'm just truly, truly lucky to have you in our IT department. The first 15 years have been really exciting working with you, and I can hardly wait for the next 15 years. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. To me, Tweddle Group has been an interesting experience in my life. If you asked me 17 years ago what Tweddle Group was, it was a logo on a shirt that I would see on some guy that I used to work with at a party store. And he would tell me he would come to Tweddle every day, and he would go home. Not go home. He would go to a second job, the party store, and he would tell me about Tweddle Group, and that's the place he worked, and how he would drive these giant high-lows, and they were the tallest ones in Michigan, and they would go 40 feet plus high in the sky, and it sounded like a really cool place to work. And after working with this gentleman for 2 years, Buddy Dyer, he asked me if I'd be interested in applying at Tweddle. And he talked me into it, and I took a chance and I applied. That was 15 years ago. And through all those years, it's been a great experience. I learned a lot. I want to thank all the managers that have supported all my transitions between the different departments. Ken, I shouldn't name him because then I'll forget someone. Ken, you supported me through all my roles in the distribution center. Tina brought me over to logistics, and I transitioned to program management, and I worked for Amanda. It was great, and everyone was very supportive of making sure that I transitioned from team to team, and there was never any kind of pushback from anyone. And thank you, Sangeeta, Jerry Chapman, who took me in and said he would totally love to have me on the team. Thank you, everyone. That's it. I'm good.
So Todd Burke couldn't be here today, but I have some notes from him. He says Delilah began her career at Tweddle as a general worker in distribution. She displayed excellent job ownership and integrity, and it didn't take long for management at the time to notice those traits and move her to the shipping department as a material handler and administrator. During her time in those roles, Delilah not only helped in training and mentoring her fellow shipping teammates, she also got involved in the development and implementation of many processes that improved day-to-day operations. A few years later, Delilah was chosen to oversee distribution shipping operations, and her dedication and contributions are key factors that have helped mold Tweddle's shipping department into the world-class operation it is today. I think I speak on behalf of Todd, on behalf of the entire organization when I say that Delilah is an exemplary employee who not only is a pleasure to work with, but one of the vital building blocks that have helped Tweddle distribution successfully improve and evolve over the last 15 years. I have also had the pleasure of working with Delilah through the years. I appreciate her well-rounded knowledge, willingness to help in any project, and ability to lead her team, creating a culture of accountability with focus on safety and quality. She plays a critical role in Tweddle's success, and on behalf of the company, I would like to thank you for spending 15 years of your career with us.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you. It's been great working with you guys, especially the people that are getting their award today. We've all worked together on a day-to-day basis. 15 years ago, I too was recruited to Tweddle by that same guy wearing the logo with Calvin. We should probably add him to our recruitment process now because he seems like he did a good job at picking candidates. Yeah, thank you and congratulations to everyone else that's getting their milestone achievement today.
All right, so I also have notes from Todd for James. Much like Todd, James started his career at Tweddle as a material handler in distribution and shipping. He quickly built a reputation for being a very reliable teammate amongst his peers, as well as someone who everyone enjoyed working with. When it came to fill open shipping positions as a shift leader and shipping administrator, James was a natural fit due to his attention to detail and work ethic. After years of continued success in his shipping roles and a testament to his inquisitive nature, James was selected to become a member of the planning team, where he continued to develop his skills and succeed as he did in shipping. A short while later, the CLM department needed a new team member, and James' training and experience in his previous roles once again identified him as the ideal employee to fill that position, where he continues to excel to this day. I'm very thankful that James has been a part of my past and current departments, as he not only is a fantastic CLM employee, but also an asset to Tweddle Group, despite him being a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan. So I can't speak to James's sports team preferences or his alleged cornhole skills. However, I can say that James has been an essential part of the Tweddle team. His positive attitude and work ethic is contagious. His ability and willingness to take on new challenges has made the organization stronger. And thank you for spending the last 15 years with us.
I'll just keep this short. Thank you, for, everyone, for coming and supporting everybody that got their brick today. When I was 19 years old is when I started here, and if you asked me then if I was going to be here 15 years, I probably would have said no, but it just shows you how great of a company this is. And thank all my managers in the past to allow me to be myself and continue to grow and develop into the career I have now. Pretty much grew up here. I met my wife here, and it's just a great place to work. Thank you.
Michael Flaherty. I'm Scott Dranick. I have the privilege of honoring Michael today. I've only been working with Michael for about 3 months now, so I'll share what I know, and then I have a few comments from others. So I'll, and I was told it's not a roast, so there'll be, yeah. It is nice that, so it's age before beauty, and so Michael's the last person to get the award today, so I think that, no. Yeah, so Michael Flaherty is in product management, and so software product management is looking at the industry, finding out what are problems that people have that could be solved with technology, and then putting together the vision for a product and the business case for that product. And so Michael has been very influential in that and leading many of the software products that we have today, and look forward to, he's got ideas on some things that we will be launching and continuing to develop in the near future. So excited about that. In my short time in working with Michael, what I have noticed is just he truly cares about what the customer experience is, truly cares about getting the job done, whether it's part of his job description or not. I mean, I think if the people mowing the lawn couldn't show up and we needed it mowed, he would jump in and do that. He spent a lot of time on some RFP processes, jumping into business development when that wasn't part of his job description. So he went well above and beyond. Another measure of somebody's leadership skills is just the people that follow them. And Jim Mitchell was somebody that used to work with Michael at FCA, and Jim mentioned that the whole reason he's here is because of Michael Flaherty, and he jumped at the opportunity to come to Tweddle because of Michael. So that's a great attribution to the type of leader that he is. So I also have Pat McGinnis. I could not be here today, and Michael and Pat have worked many years together, so I asked Pat for some thoughts. So I'll be reading those here as soon as I find them. Yeah. Since Mike joined Tweddle, he has always looked for ways to make Tweddle better, be it innovation, product development, or business development. Michael has been that person who steps up and makes things happen. Mike was the leader of the Tweddle Irishmen, a ragtag group that never hesitated to think outside the box, acted without hesitation, and rarely had to ask for forgiveness later. Joe O'Devon, the late Dennis McCurry, and others looked up to Mike for his experience, knowledge, and character. Mike was the father of FCA's mobile application initiative, which, by the way, was the first in-market application for owner information on both Google and Apple app stores anywhere. Mike was not only the program leader, he was the visionary, feature designer, and the customer liaison as well. Mike was the thought leader who FCA executives turned to. When Tweddle Group launched the Tweddle Technology Group, Mike helped me wrestle the bear, also known as Mr. Stephen Fishburne, our former CTO. Together, we set a course for what would eventually become a multi-million-dollar business. The TGT days in Detroit, Seattle, and Japan were some of the best times of my career. After TGT was sold, I borrowed a Harman head unit test box from Sprint's lab in Rochester. Mike and I had a mutual passion for what we coined in-vehicle help. When I handed the Harman box to Mike, he already had a plan to build the first IVH prototype. It ended up being another first for FCA, then Subaru came next, and that was a very successful and profitable program. Through the ups and downs of the following years, Mike was the person that I turned to the most when I needed help. He is technically pragmatic, the king of the PowerPoint, and a damn good writer. 9 to 5 has no meaning to Mike. His attention to detail is second to none. Mike will also bleed blue and display the Pentastar beside the Block M. I'm proud to have been able to work with Mr. Flaherty and will always call him my friend. So that's from Pat McGinnis. So thank you and congratulations. Great job.
Appreciate those kind words. I'm honored and humbled. It's funny, 15 years, it's shocking. It's going by really fast. I think I misplaced a decade somewhere. But it's funny because Dennis McCurry, as you mentioned, and Annie Tweddle, they recruited me from Chrysler back in 2008 to start this new product development organization at Tweddle. And I was really intrigued and interested. And I told Annie, I said, you know what, let's do it, but maybe I'm only going to be there a couple of years. You know, I literally told him that right up front. And here I am, 15 years later. It's really a testament, I think, to the Tweddle organization. I've been afforded opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten elsewhere, and really interesting work. And the culture here, as Gwen had mentioned and some others had mentioned, it's unparalleled. And just from the camaraderie and the teamwork, and working towards a common goal, and then most importantly, the people here. Some of the finest, some of the smartest, most creative, most passionate people I've ever worked with are in these buildings, are in the walls of these buildings, sorry. Or at home, I should say, remote these days. But it's been a great ride, and I really appreciate it. Like I mentioned, and I'm honored to be here and happy to still be here.
So before we wrap, let's just give one more round of applause to our 8 recipients today. I mean, I just hit my 6-month milestone, so they've really given me something to shoot for. And we can't leave without thanking the fun committee too. Not only did they plan this event, but all the other social events. Great job. Looking forward to enjoying some food this afternoon. But I really need to call them out by name. Most of you know this already, but Shannon, Dottie, Nina, Beverly, Desiree, Irving, and Sarah. I mean, thanks for all you do and putting stuff like this together. It really means a lot.